Welcome back to Rocket Talk. My name is Connor. This is episode 28, and as always, I'm joined by my crew, Johnny and Luke, and we got a really, really great episode for you guys. We're going to touch on some Call of Duty news. We're going to have some thoughts on the Nintendo Direct, and then why in the hell they're having live-action Powerpuff Girls. But then we'll also touch on the tragic passing of Chadwick Boseman. To kick things off, we did get a trailer for The Haunting of Bly Manor. I think that's how you say it. And it looked freaking awesome. Johnny, you were actually the one who tagged me in that. So do you want to give a quick reaction to what you thought of it?
I'm super excited. The first, I don't know if it's going to be like a series where it's like on the same, thing on Netflix and it'll be just different seasons, kind of like American Horror Story, or if this is going to be, considered an all new show altogether. But either way, the first version of the show, Haunting at Hill House, was amazing and
so good. Very
scary. One of the scariest things I've seen in a long time.
Agreed.
And for the sequel to be announced and it was announced a while ago, but for the date of it coming out, which I believe it was October 9th,
Correct.
Is what it said. I'm super excited because we're only less than a month and a half away, and they didn't show a lot, which I very much appreciated, because that's kind of the worst thing you can do for horror movies is already show people what the scary parts are.
It was just enough to incite intrigue. And if it's anything like The Haunting of Hill House, there's going to be some Easter eggs for watchful viewers. I thought that was just brilliant for Haunting of Hill House. So if that's what we can expect for Bly Manor, then, count me in.
And we'll definitely have a review on it once it comes out and once Connor and I get our spoops in. But I want to say one of the coolest things that they do on the show that I haven't seen before is the fact that they have the hidden ghosts that are just hanging out in the background.
Yes.
And when you notice your first one, you don't stop notice. It's hard to unsee them, and then you see all the ones in the future. Just normal scenes are happening, just people having normal conversations, and there's a ghost that's got half his face peering around the door, and they don't make note, they don't mention it, it's just for eagle eye viewers, and it's so creepy once you see your first one, because then you're like, oh my god, that's just there, just standing there, and no one's paying attention to it.
Absolutely. Hill House was worth a watch, and I think this, if it's made from the same people, I think this is going to be just as good, and I'm excited for it. So Johnny and I, and probably Luke, if you're interested, will have an actual reaction for you in come October. To keep the ball rolling, some news got dropped for John from Game Explain. He will unfortunately be leaving. Luke, take it away.
Yeah, so John Cartwright is leaving Game Explained. Another impact that's going to help our podcast grow is on top of, unfortunately, him leaving, is another in the nerd podcast realm. Wolf Den Live is ending, so all these big name YouTube channels, they're shifting, they're shifting closing right as we're shifting to Wednesdays. So watch out, YouTube. Here we come.
They're making room for us, honestly.
Exactly. But yeah, that's more just one that came out, and it is definitely a bummer because he's been one of the faces of Game Explained and has been there as they've grown and gotten popular. So best of luck to him. I know he is about to be a father with his partner, and so congrats to them. Congrats on the sex there. But yeah, definitely a quick one that the video game, especially on the Nintendo side, nerd sect is going to be a little bummed for this, but also happy at the same time for them. So
yeah, so goodbye to him, hello to us. And we're just going to dive on into the news topics we've actually had planned for today. So the first bit of news that we're going to talk about is Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War officially revealed, and it's going to be out in November. I'm looking forward to this. I saw that trailer and I thought this is really, really cool. I haven't purchased a COD game since Ghosts, which was... I could see myself playing this one. What are your guys' thoughts on this?
Well, I am trash, and I buy every Call of Duty. I've bought every Call of Duty. I've bought every Call of Duty since Modern Warfare 2, and I own every Call of Duty since Call of Duty 4, except for Ghost. I don't own that one anymore. But I have every year for the Call of Duty since Ghost, I've been like, okay, I'm not going to buy the next Call of Duty unless they do something to get me in. And each year they find some way to pull me back in. And so Yeah, I definitely was interested in this one. This had a really cool way they revealed it. I got a little annoyed because Activision had been teasing the announcement for about 2 weeks. What they started doing is having this site popped up that people found, and every day at noon Eastern for about 6 days, it showed these videos of just like, it was like a history lesson. It was going over a bunch of stuff that happened during the Cold War era, video in the 60s, video in the 70s, and all that. And so once that did, then it teased another teaser that was going to be in Warzone, the free-to-play Battle Royale game. And so what they did is, in Warzone, there was a special mode called Know Your History, and you had objectives you had to do. It was a bunch of just random, like, it was like find the codes, get the cipher, and it was just complete a couple quick tasks, and then you run into Woods from the first Black Ops game, and he gives you a variant of one of the marksman rifles, which is actually apparently supposed to be the rifle that Lee Harvey Oswald used to shoot JFK. So a little interesting there. But once you do that, then the timer counts down, and you have to run to the stadium, and then it played the trailer. So like people who played the game got to see the trailer play in game, and it was a really cool thing. They definitely pulled a little bit from Fortnite with having the in-game live events. But yeah, kind of a ramble there. But I'm excited for it. It looks like it's going to do like what Modern Warfare did, where it's going to kind of push the fact that like there's a lot of gray areas when it comes to war, and like you're going to be doing a lot of things that are bad, even though you're technically the quote good guy. And the Cold War is just such an interesting topic with all the things that happened between America and the USSR. So, but man, one thing though is this game has one of the most convoluted plans for cross generation that I have ever seen. So with the new systems coming out, they're obviously going to have it come out on both. It's going to come out on PS4, Xbox One, and PC on November 13th, and then they're going to also have it come out on the PS5 and the Series X at some point after when the new consoles come out. So since we don't have release dates for the consoles, we don't have release dates for the next gen versions. But instead of just doing a simple, okay, you buy the PS4 game, you can get the PS5 game, for free, or you buy this, you can get it this way. You have to buy special versions for some systems, or certain versions of the consoles to get it. So if you buy the game physically on disc, just the regular standard $60 game, on PS4, you can upgrade to the PS5 version for $10. But you have to have the PS5 that has the disc drive, because what it'll do is once to use the digital key, you have to have the disc in. They did the similar thing with the Modern Warfare remake, where you had to have Infinite Warfare's disc in, so you have to have the disc in to play it. As of right now, though, if you have the physical Xbox One edition, you can't upgrade to the Series X. So if you buy the Xbox One edition, you're just going to have to buy the game again and drop $70 to get on Series X. Here's where it gets even weirder. So they're gonna have next gen physical standard editions as well. So you can buy the PS5 version, that it's a PS5 disc, so it'll work on the PlayStation 5, but it's a disc, so it won't work on the discless PS5, and it won't work on the PS4. But the Xbox Series X standard physical edition comes with the Xbox Series X and an Xbox One disc, so you get two discs, so you can play it on the Xbox One or the Series X.
Why did they make it this complicated? Well,
because it's Activision and they want money. Because they know they're going to get someone that's going to mess up with that. So the easiest way, if you're planning on getting the game and you already have the current gen consoles and you get the next gen, the easiest way is to just buy either the cross-generation digital edition at $70 that comes with the digital version of PS4 or Xbox One, and then once the next generation consoles come out, you automatically get the new version of the game, or the Ultimate Edition at $90, which comes with that plus some extra bells and whistles. But yeah, why did that have to be so convoluted? Just like let you buy the game if you want to upgrade in the first 6 months, make it $10 and just call it easy. But whatever.
I'm really glad that you took the helm on explaining that article, because I read that article and I gave up because I was like, this is stupid.
It's confusing. Like with you guys, with like you not really having, like, since you only have an Xbox sometimes, Connor, and then Johnny, you like don't have an Xbox or a PlayStation, it's easy for you guys if you get it, because you can just buy the PS5 or the Xbox Series X version and just like be fine. But yeah, it's going to be a tricky situation. So depending on when we find out the release dates of the next gen consoles, if they're coming out around the same time, I might just wait and buy a physical next gen version. But if it's going to be coming out in November and then the PS5 is going to come out 2 or 3 weeks later, I might just buy the digital cross-platform version.
You wouldn't be able to wait the 2 or 3 weeks?
I could, but also it'd be fun to play. I waited for Ghost. Ghost came out about a week, maybe 2 weeks between the PS3 version and the PS4 version. But and also it's $70 if I want to get the digital cross-gen version, or if I want to get the game physically next gen. So like I might as well just pay the same price, get the game 2 weeks earlier. So we'll see. I don't know if I'm gonna probably get the game. And they also made it so they get your money easier. They've been doing betas the last few years that if you pre-order, you get early access to the game, so you can play like a demo of it. And so they're doing that again, but this year you get earlier access if you pre-order it digitally. And a digital pre-order, you have to pay the full price right there. So you have to drop the $60, $70, or $90 right then and there, and then you'll get it a few days early. And so they're trying to get it so people pre-order and they get all that $90 right away.
So about the game, I've never played a Call of Duty game before, but I am looking forward to this one. I'm gonna suck at it because I've never played one before, but I'm looking forward to kind of getting my ass kicked and seeing pretty much all the games that I'm gonna get on PS5 are gonna be like not like anything I've ever played before, which I'm really looking forward to. Yeah, so
yeah.
I'm looking forward
it'll be good to expand your horizons. Like Call of Duty is such an easy it's an easy casual first person shooter to jump into. Like it's not as technical as some of the ones on PC and some of the more difficult ones. So luckily for you, you're not going to be the only one that's going to be like jumping in for the first time, or for some the first time in a long time. So you'll get your butt whooped, but you won't be alone getting your butt whooped.
The thing about Call of Duty is it's very fun. It is a blast, and I've actually made some friends online with it. But some of the Call of Duty fan base is just
Call of Duty fan base sucks. I hate the Call of Duty. The Call of Duty fan base is like the Sonic fan base. It is just a horrible cesspool of horrible people.
Yes, agreed. And yeah, of all shapes and sizes, calling everybody every name in the book. But I mean, if you can get past that or just mute it, it's really, really a good time. So if you guys end up getting this game, please let us know, and let us know what you think of it. And
you can play with us because it's cross-platform.
And please play with us. That would be awesome. Let's move right on into the next topic. Nintendo finally spoke out and broke their silence, and they've been giving us a lot of silences. They gave us a new Direct Mini. It's a partner showcase, and throughout the entire thing, it was looking pretty bleak for us. Not very interesting. World of Tanks, and we got some Kingdom Hearts melody, and we got some Just Dance. However, really good for Luke, we did get some Tetris news.
Puyo Puyo Tetris Game of the Year, boy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And Johnny, you're the Nintendo guy here, so I will let you take the helm on this one.
Yeah. I was disappointed for sure, just by the news that all the stuff that came out. And according to Twitter and YouTube, I definitely was not alone in that. It's not to say that there are not good games at all. In fact, I think that there's going to be a lot of big sellers. But like Just Dance, I don't know exactly the like how well that sells, but since it's a party game, I'm assuming they do pretty well. But that's kind of like I imagine. Like this direct to me seemed like a lot of filler stuff, and again, I'm generalizing in the sense that it's like there's a lot of everybody has their own interests, and I'm not necessarily saying that like not even there's a lack of interest from everything that, in my opinion, was on there. Like there were some games that I'm kind of interested in, but like nothing that like really sold me. And so I'm just a little disappointed. I am happy that there's something, and so there's some people that are happy. Like I'm glad that if you release any news at all, it's good, because at least there's some games that are coming out, some games that are announced, or more information on them that makes people happy to see more information on. But I think there's just not. I mean, there's no first party, but that's
that was the whole point of the partner showcase.
I know. And so like, I'm not surprised that like, because they said it was a partner showcase, I'm not surprised that like the whole point is that there wouldn't be first party, but that's not to say that like, it's just what we that's what we're looking for. A lot of people are looking for the first party stuff. And so I feel like the partner showcase is great if you see stuff that you like, but a lot of people just want more like first party or any first party information. And I'm just disappointed that we still haven't gotten that yet. It's been, oh God, coming up to a year to the last
full direct.
Core Direct. Yeah.
That was last September, right?
Yeah. I believe it was September 4th was the last direct that we had that was not focused on a particular game, because we had one about Animal Crossing in February, but we haven't had one since September 4th that was about a Nintendo Direct that was not
just a regular direct,
regular one. Yeah,
not a Pokemon Direct or a mini. The
so
one.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was like the one thing is that with this is that while it's a lot of like stuff that can be considered filler stuff, the one like defense Nintendo can have with this is that they at least announced like most of these are big name franchises or big name develop, like even if it is a spin-off like Kingdom Hearts, that'll sell well. The Final Fantasy Game Boy remasters, that's going to sell well. Puyo Puyo Tetris will sell well. The Jump Force getting a deluxe edition. The Rocky boxing game, just because it's Rocky, will like be able to get stuff. Just Dance, which fun fact, this is the first Just Dance not coming to the Wii.
Wow.
Because they finally, after Just Dance 2020 came out on the Wii and not the Wii U, they were like, okay, that's enough Wii. So
listen to this. I was making the mistake of scrolling through the comments, and I found this great comment. I want to get your thoughts on this. It was from _yes with many S's.
Same.
This was really smart by Nintendo. At this point, there's no way they can announce a Direct without backlash, unless it's the inevitable beefy one. So they just dropped this one out of the blue. They didn't directly respond to rumors and confuse their fanbase like Microsoft either. No expectations, no hype, just games. For me, it was a pleasant surprise. Right now, it's clear the big three are in a Mexican standoff. Everyone wants to have the last word. No one wants to be upstaged. Nintendo has put themselves in a position to be the great surprise. We all know they have something big for the holidays, and unlike console pricing, a Direct can be held at the last moment. What do you guys think?
But they have to do something soon. Because the other thing we're running into is we're almost to for people who bought Nintendo Switch Online day one, we're almost to the point where we're the end of the second full year of it, and so people are looking to renew it. And now last year the first year we got NES games, and we got a steady stream of NES games each month that year. And then last year we got Super Nintendo games with the stream slowing down, but like eventually it led to us getting DKC. Now we're at the point where people are still going to go because it's $20 a year, but there's going to be some of those people that are going to look at it and say, okay, do I really need to drop $20 for another year of Nintendo right now when I'm not playing as much of my games online? Because maybe they're still playing through Paper Mario, or because there's nothing first party coming out, and maybe they're not into Puyo Puyo Tetris or Final Fantasy or the Kingdom Hearts games coming out. They're looking at just putting their Switch down and collect some dust for a bit. they need to do this direct too, so they can also give us whatever else they have cooked up to incentivize buying Nintendo Switch Online for year 3, and so they can give us the Mario remakes or just something that's out there, because the only first party thing we have coming that we know is coming is the second part of the Pokemon DLC.
Yeah,
and like that's
that and Pikmin.
it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot Pikmin. Yeah. So we have DLC and a niche series that's getting a Switch port.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
Good point.
yeah. It's not
Good
even a new game. Yeah, it's just a port. But I what you said, Connor. It's like, yes, Nintendo is, or what the commenter said. Yes, it's they're in a good position to blow everybody away, to blow PlayStation and Xbox. But this is like, I'm imagining, so you guys have played Smash before. You've seen Donkey Kong like winding up his punch to do a really powerful punch. This is like, if Nintendo is Donkey Kong, they are winding up that punch and winding it and winding it and winding it and winding it, and there's nothing happening. Yeah. Like, they have not, like,
or Kirby charging up this hammer.
Like, yeah, there's a lot of power there, but if they don't use it, what is the point? You know, yeah. Like, they could drop something any day, but like, until that happens,
to be worth the hype. I mean, that being said, Nintendo's going to drop. They could drop anything and people will eat it up because it's Nintendo. But yeah, it's going to have to be worth the hype of a year's silence.
See, yeah. I'm not big into Kirby. I'm not big into Star Fox or Metroid. But like, if they didn't release my favorites like Donkey Kong, Mario, Zelda, if they did nothing of that and they only released a first party direct with Kirby, Samus, Fox, all the stuff that I don't play, I would still call that a good direct, because even though it's not for me personally, it's still something that I know a big portion of people are into. And so I'm just waiting for that, like I said, even if it's not something I want, I'm just waiting for that, like that next Star Fox game or the Kirby game. Like, I just want something that is, so I know that Nintendo, like, they didn't just, fall asleep over there. I want to know that, like, stuff is actually happening. And I feel guilty because, of course, I'm taking into consideration the virus that's going on everywhere in the world. But right now, as a company, PlayStation and Xbox, they've got their new systems coming out, and you would think that Nintendo would want to be like, hey, why go buy the systems when you can just save your money and buy this new game for $60 instead of $500, But we don't know what that is yet, or anything. So if I've said it once on this podcast, I've said it 27 times, once for each episode we've had. But I just, or 28 now, but I'm just waiting for Donkey Kong to release his wind-up punch, because nothing is happening right now.
I understand we do want something from Nintendo, and eventually they're going to give that to us. They're going to have to for the holiday season at least. But I mean, at least we may have something. We do have a rumor, which is it's at least not nothing. So apparently there's going to be a new Nintendo Switch launching in 2021. Again, these are just claims, and apparently it was this said console would release sometime in the first quarter of the 2021. The report claimed, leaked by the console's supply chain sources, the new Nintendo Switch version would reportedly feature improved interactivity and enhanced display quality. Unfortunately, the report did not reveal details about the power of the upcoming system. It is not clear at this point if the alleged new version of the Nintendo Switch is a Pro-like update with more powerful tech specs. In April, rumors surfaced that a Nintendo Switch with an entirely different form factor could be in the works.
Yeah, so basically we're getting the new Switch, or the Switch Pro, or the Switch I, or whatever weird thing that Nintendo wants to do, like they've done with all their other consoles apparently. And I mean, it makes sense. Like, there's been rumors of a beefed up Switch really since not long after the Switch launched. So, and this could be another reason why Nintendo is being a little more hush-hush on top of the pandemic, is because why blow your load with Breath of the Wild 2, Metroid Prime 4, and all these other big first-party games when you can wait and reveal all those when you also revealed the new information about a upgraded Switch. And who knows what this could be, something as simple as like the new 3DS, where it runs games a little better, and those going to be some games that you can only play on the new console, or other games will run significantly better. But yeah, I'm this has been, like I said, this has been going on for a long time. I just don't know what they can do necessarily, because I just don't like. So like so a lot of these games can barely run 1080p to begin with. So them trying to go to 4K is just not. I don't think it's viable. Like, you're gonna have a couple games that are gonna hit it, but they might be able to get a few more third party. They might be able to get games like Call of Duty to be a little more viable on the Switch. But I just don't know what a improvement can really do that outside of like something where it's significantly more powerful to justify buying a new one.
I mean, how does that affect the portability of it?
So, they could do the opposite of what the Switch Lite did, though. So, the Switch, because the big thing, the selling part of the Switch was the hybrid factor, the portability of it, that you could play Smash Brothers and Zelda and Mario, like, full console experiences on the go. Then you could go put it in your TV. And the Switch Lite, you just have the handheld aspect. So I wonder if maybe the Switch Pro or whatever they want to do would be a like box only console. Like, there's no way to remove it. So it's a dock and switch built into one more powerful machine, because then they can have it. So it is a little bit more powerful, so it can run a game at a higher frame rate or in 4K or whatever. But again, I just don't know if Nintendo really would benefit from this. Like, outside of them getting Call of Duty and some of these other big name games that are absent on the Switch, I just don't know how much a upgrade would really help them with the Switch.
I think, it's funny because I hadn't even considered it, but after the Switch Lite came out, and the whole point of it being a Switch and called the Switch was no longer there with the Switch Lite, even though it was kind of like, I usually play my Switch as a console. I don't think I've ever, more than a few times, have ever brought it and played it somewhere on the go, in a plane or something. But the fact that there's a possibility that they could have that bigger Switch that you said that's only for console rather than portable, it's kind of a stupid idea, but it's stupid enough for Nintendo to make it work. And I think that there's a lot of benefits you'd get from something like that, or benefits that even the Lite gives you that the regular portable or the alternating Switch can give you, like the original, I mean. But this is something that I am somebody that's, as I've said, I'm a big Nintendo fan, and I'll buy a lot of stuff I probably shouldn't buy. And if they do something like this that's bigger and better and not portable at all, I would consider getting it. If they give me enough reason to, maybe they can hold more games, or maybe they can hold maybe they have more space, or they can, everything looks better on the new system. Whatever it is, there's, I could see myself getting it if it was a little bit cheaper than the original, and they give me enough reason to do that. But I don't know. I kind of hope this is real, but I mean, we'll see. I would like to know this before the new systems come out. That way, before I drop, hundreds of dollars on a new system, I know if I'm going to need to spend or save any on an upcoming Switch. But, Nintendo,
at least the nice thing with a new Switch is if you back it up, you could trade in the original Switch, and you would probably get, and in places like GameStop will probably do specials. If let's say the Switch is going for $200 trade in, and if you trade in towards a Switch Pro, they'll give you an extra 25%, so that you end up covering half of the Switch or something like that, Pro or whatever it is. So yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to watch, and yeah, this quarter one thing. So if that means actual quarter one 2021, then we're going to get it between January and March, so that's going to be really quick right after the new consoles launch. And if it's fiscal year 2021, then technically that wouldn't be until April to June. But still, either way, we're looking the first half of the year potentially having a upgraded Switch coming out at the same time, either a few months after, or if it gets delayed, the same time as Microsoft and Xbox. I mean, Microsoft and PlayStation release new stuff as well. So definitely want to keep our eye on. But yeah, I'm just worried that if they don't show enough reason to get it over the regular, if it's going to be able to sell as well as Nintendo would hope.
Yeah, well, yeah, we're gonna keep our eyes on it, and we'll, as more news comes out, we'll give it to you guys, and share our thoughts. What do you guys think? Is this smart? Is this kind of pointless? Let us know in the comments down below. But we got to keep the ball rolling to get to our next news topic and then the main topic of the week. So we didn't ask for this news. Powerpuff Girls live action TV series in development at the CW. What are your guys' thoughts other than literally why?
Dude, I in our notes I linked like a reaction, and it's the clip of from Jurassic Park, and it's the you scientists didn't stop where you should, or I'm butchering the line right now, but it's
you asked if you could, not if you should,
and like that basically is this. Like, don't get me wrong, I am all for gritty reboots for things, and like it's fun, but why do we need a gritty reboot where the Powerpuff Girls are trying to, or like a dystopian future, and they're trying to get back to, fighting crime in their 20s. Like cool and all, but like, why?
I can't possibly, for the life of me, I can't think of any version of this show that is not absolutely cringeworthy. Like,
well, yeah, think about like live action Mojo Jojo or him. Like, that's gonna be really, really weird, and I don't know. I just don't see how this is a good thing at all.
No,
out of all the cartoons,
they're just trying to cash in on our nostalgia, and like nobody asked for this, and the nobody that did ask for this is not asking for live action either. And so they're just cash grabs.
I think it was cool that they rebooted it on Cartoon Network a few years ago. Of course, I never watched it, but I heard it was good. I don't know that for certain, but I heard it was good. But like this is not what this is not what I would have wanted to see. Of course, I'm gonna watch it. Of course, I am. But like, I think it's gonna be so weird to like. I told you guys earlier a few days ago that it's gonna be so weird for live action actors to call them Bubbles, Blossom, and Buttercup. Like in a cartoon, like saying that is like, oh, it's a cartoon, you can be silly, but like it's like Buttercup, what do I do, Buttercup? Blossom, where do we go from here?
Like the idea of him being in live action, like you're having this like, so you're gonna have a this villain who is a like red devil crab person that is gender fluid, and you're gonna try to make that work in live action. Like, I just don't see how that's gonna work in live action.
No,
or a monkey with a big like. There's just so like
these studios. They just don't understand that sometimes it's lightning in a bottle, and it works because it's made the exact way it is with whom made it, and it was released when it was released. But now they're trying to appeal to an older generation that the older generations that grew up with it still likes it as it was, and literally nobody asked for this, and they decided to give it to us. And you're right, none of this is going to work live action.
I just realized that that the Powerpuff Girls being live action, and on especially the fact that they're going to be on the CW, means that I would bet my life that the Rowdy Rough Boys are going to be back, and there's going to be some like major like will they won't they sexual tension between 20-year-olds, and I'm just not ready for that because like. It's just, I mean, I know everyone grows up, but like, do they have to? Like, do the Powerpuff Girls have to grow up?
That's where the charm of the original one comes from. I didn't like you. I didn't watch a lot of it. I did watch some of it.
Oh, I love Powerpuff Girls.
But the original charm, I thought, came from it being lighthearted, from it being animated, and them being kids, and it was fun to relate to. But nowadays, and especially being on the CW, there's nothing setting them apart from any of the other CW superhero shows.
This is going to be superhero Riverdale. Like, that's what this is going to be.
I don't think that's too far from the truth at all.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Is with it being on CW, I get that. Like, what's good about it is that there's so many superhero shows on the CW now, but also there's so many superhero shows on the CW, so it's gonna get lost. It's gonna get lost because like and we brought up too. Yeah, part of the charm was like their designs. Like they have oval shaped heads with these these big ass eyes, and then they have these like stubby feet and arms that are just like like they're. Because it's cartoon, like there's nothing realistic at all with their designs. Yeah, like some of the adults have a little bit more, or like there's just so many things that I just don't understand. Like Miss Bellum, like what are they gonna do with her? Like you never see her her face.
Her face,
like that's the running gag. Is the show that it's always she's so tall and you always just see her hair and you never see her actual face. Like there's just too many things in this show that I just don't see that they can make it work. And it's not like something like what we're going to have with the live action Mulan reboot, where where like they're taking things out. So it's a more traditional Chinese inspired story. Like so we're going to take out the talking dog and Mojo Jojo, but like, how is that going to have the charm of the original show then?
It's not. It's not.
This is, I mean, it's just this is just too out there. Like if this is going to be a thing, this opens the door for so many other childhood cartoons. Like, I mean, I can even think of like some that would work.
Dog.
Oh no! Return the slab,
that actually, I would love to see.
Curse.
See, that one would be fun just because of how messed up that show is. But yeah, like think about like an Ed, Edd n Eddy live action, like that would be.
And I love that show, and that would be terrible. Like,
that would be ugly.
I can't think of any of these like these cartoons, these like late 90s, early 2000s cartoons that would work, because part of like the charm of some of these shows, like Dexter's Lab and Ed, Edd n Eddy, Powerpuff Girls, was the art style. Like like that like you keep like Johnny Bravo like wouldn't work as much in live action, even though like because like of his like cartoony proportions of his muscles.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
There's just no good. There's just nothing good with this. I don't.
Yeah.
The only cartoons that I think could work is stuff like Teen Titans and like maybe Kids Next Door.
I was just thinking that Kids Next Door would be kind of cool.
If it had a good enough budget, Kids Next Door I think could work. But like all these other ones, like I just don't see how we could make Sheep in the Big City or I Am Weasel or Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Like I just don't see how any of these could work. Foster's Home, like none of these could work in a live action setting.
No, and it's another studio trying to cash in on nostalgia, and I really hope that they learn their lesson. And unfortunately, this is the show that they went with, and the Powerpuff Girl fan base, they're gonna. I really hope that we're wrong. I hope it works really well, and the Powerpuff Girl fan base gets something that they really love and can relate to. But like our thoughts are, this is not going to work. This is going to crash and burn. And I hope that they don't keep trying to, dig up graves for money. Mr. Krabs, am I really going to defile this grave for money? Of course I am. Yeah. So yeah, leave your thoughts in the comments below. What do you guys think of this Powerpuff Girl reboot with live action? And like, does it work? Does it not? What are your thoughts? And let's dive on into the topic of the week, which unfortunately touches on, our tragic loss of Chadwick Boseman. And according to the tweet on his official Twitter, he was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer in 2016, and it recently increased to stage 4. And this is, it's horrible, but it shows his tenacity. He was filming all these movies while he still had cancer, and he's a fighter. So we wanted to touch on his career and what he meant to us as nerds and what he meant to the rest of the world. And so Luke, I really loved this edition you had in the notes. What makes the death even sadder is how it was the same day that Major League Baseball did their annual Jackie Robinson Day. Since COVID caused the celebration to not take place in April as it usually does, the league moved the day to August 28th to line up with the March on Washington's anniversary. Boseman played Jackie Robinson in the movie 42, of course. So yeah, let's just get into this here. Luke, we can start with you. I'm sorry that this has to be our topic of the week, but I understand that you had some love for Chadwick Boseman. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so actually, the tweet you mentioned that brought it up, it actually is now the last time I saw was the most liked tweet in Twitter history. It currently has 7.5 million likes. Because it is a big impact. Just focusing on the nerdy side with the MCU. So he played Black Panther, which is one of the most successful MCU movies. It is the highest grossing non-Avengers movie in the MCU, currently sitting at 12th all time. The next closest non-Avengers movie from the MCU is Iron Man 3 at 20th. And then on top of that too, he is a major character in Civil War and in Infinity War, and he is one of the first people we see in Endgame when they all come back. So he's a very important character for the end of Phase 3 of the MCU, and now that's just gone. And then on top of that too, he's just played so many important historical figures. So that's kind of where he was making his niche. There was he has been playing a variety of different important African American figures. So he even down to some of his first roles or his minor, he played Floyd Little in The Express, which is a movie about Ernie Davis, the first Black player that won the Heisman Trophy in college football. And so the movie touched on the civil rights and racism and discrimination and all that. But he plays Floyd Little, who is another player that ends up going to Syracuse and wears the number 44 that Ernie Davis and then Jim Brown wore, and Ernie Davis gets Floyd Little to go to Syracuse over different schools. But and then the movie that really people really first saw him in was 42 in 2013 when he played Jackie Robinson, who might be who is one of the most important sports figures of all time. I mean, he's so important to the game of baseball that every single team cannot wear 42. They retired it in 1997, and so no one wears 42 at all. After Mariano Rivera was the last player that was grandfathered in, retired a few years ago. Now, no player ever wears 42 outside of Jackie Robinson Day, which they started in 2004, that every player wears 42 for that one day. And so, there's a few other players that have unofficial numbers. It's unofficially Wayne Gretzky has 99 retired in all of the NHL, but it's not official. And teams that Michael Jordan never played on retired 23. But there's no sport that has a single number retired for everyone for a single player. And so him playing that, and then him playing Thurgood Marshall, who was the first Black Supreme Court justice, and him playing James Brown, who is very important for 20th century music, for just what he meant for funk and soul and R&B. And so you have all those, and then you have what Black Panther meant for just for Black culture. Think about I think a perfect example to show how important Black Panther was for Black culture was the Gravity back on the radio station up in college. That it was the Black culture show that Kyrese and John A had together, and they talked a lot about that movie. And they were into different nerdy things too, but they weren't into going to see MCU movies day one. And they had a big episode after Black Panther came out because of how positive the movie was portraying both traditional African customs and just the Afrofuture and just all the other different things that this movie meant for for someone who is a person of color to see after, like, they're always the villain or they're the token character, like having them be the main character, and majority of the cast is all different black people and like big names too, and him to play an important black superhero like was such a big thing, and it's just a big loss.
Agreed. And I think it's a good thing that it was Chadwick Boseman, who was not necessarily too well known for a different role. Like if it was Will Smith playing one of these characters, I don't think it would hit as hard because people are seeing Will Smith, and Will Smith tends to play Will Smith in his roles. However, because it's Chadwick Boseman, because he's playing Jackie Robinson or he's playing Black Panther, we're actually seeing Jackie Robinson. We're actually seeing King T'Challa. It hits a little bit different. And because he's the one that we tie with all of these icons, these legendary characters, it really, I think it hits a little bit harder than it would if it was someone who was famous for being who they are, if I'm making any sense.
Yeah, yeah, because it's like, the movie has Forrest Whitaker and it has Angela Bassett and like it has some like heavy hitters out of different black actors, but they're not the main characters. They're playing his mother, and they're playing an elder, and like it isn't you're right, it isn't someone like a Will Smith or another huge name that people are going to see movies because it's Will Smith or Denzel Washington or stuff like that. Like them having Michael B. Jordan and Forrest Whitaker and all that got people to go to it as well because of those names. But him being the main character as an actor who was lesser known at the time, like outside of 42, he wasn't really known because he's a lot of more minor characters in movies like Draft Day and The Express and The Kill Hole, and so he was only really known for 42 and Get On Up at that point.
I think it's important to note, like, in addition to what you said earlier, Luke, about how Black Panther is the biggest non-Avengers MCU movie, or the highest grossing, it didn't get that. It did not get to be that by not being a movie that people are going to see more than once. You don't get to be that big of a deal if it's something that people go and see and then tell all their friends, oh, this movie sucked. But instead, you see people that are going back and they're going to go see it once, and then they want to see it a second time and a third time. I saw it twice myself, and that is like it's the first non-Avengers MC movie I've seen more than once in theaters. And it was like, it's such a legendary it's such a feat for any one movie to be just that, to be the number one non-Avengers MCU movie. But the fact that it was starring a black man is what makes this so much more important, because it shows that you can have nothing really against Captain America or Thor or Iron Man, but like you can have the milquetoast white man be the lead, or you can have somebody that's not, somebody that they haven't seen as a lead before. And I think that's what's really like the black community, whether individual black people were nerds or not, like you said, Luke, they're going out to see this movie because it's very true to, they're not making jokes. They're not making stereotypes. It's an important story, and it's an important adventure that Black Panther goes on. Not just in his movie, but also in the other movies that he's not the main character in. But this whole I haven't seen Chadwick Boseman myself in anything other than MCU movies, but to know that he is the biggest one of the biggest stars, but in the movie that sold the most tickets, that says a lot about where we are right now, and I think that's great.
And especially right now in kind of everything that's been going on with all these protests after the death of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and all that. That's like this. This was a bright spot with the highest grossing film for a black director ever, and what all this did, and the unfortunate thing that this lined up was such an important thing with the anniversary of the March on Washington and Jackie Robinson Day for baseball. This death, for a lot of reasons, for a lot of different people is like it hits home for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah. And I think it's, it is obviously it's a tragic situation, but it's really great to see, I've seen a lot of TV shows that are commemorating his life and putting a lot of his movies on, like pushing, other things aside to put some of his movies on air so people can see what he did. And
ABC on Sunday, so the day before we recorded this, ABC showed the movie commercial free, which that is unheard of. I don't know if outside of obviously movies on like HBO and all that, I don't know when a movie has ever been shown on network television with no commercials. Like
none within recent memory.
That's
not recently at least. That's insane.
That's unprecedented. Like the fact that they, I mean, like obviously Disney can do that because they have so much money, but like the fact that they did that where people were able to sit down for, a little over 2 hours and watch, like one of the highest grossing movies of 2018, one of the highest grossing movies of all time, and be able to watch it uninterrupted. You don't have to have the, every 15 minutes the ads to go away to try to sell you, more Mountain Dew or more Doritos. Like you got to just sit down and watch like a very fine performance by Boseman, and all the other actors and actresses in that.
Yeah, I mean, not to forget this still hits home for the Black community because let's not forget Kobe Bryant died this year too, and so we have two huge, enormous icons within the Black community that have passed away within the same year. And I saw this awesome post. I think it was Boss Logic. He put Black Panther in Kobe Bryant's Lakers jersey.
That's cool.
And yeah, it was so badass too. So unfortunately, we have like these two icons, these two Black icons that have passed away in 2020, and both have they're not just influential for the Black community, for I think most of the world. I was watching this podcast. They were British. And they were going through the news just to see what they can talk about, and the Google News, and the first thing they saw was Kobe Bryant, and both of them wept because Kobe Bryant was that impactful on their lives, and they were British.
Yeah, they're like it's, and then like I mentioned too, on top of it as well, that we had this has come out in the same year that we've really seen a big push for change after more deaths have occurred with Black people that have been like, even if there's things that they may have done wrong, like they have been killed unjustly, and so having that on top of losing important figures like that as well, it's been just such it makes it even bigger of an impact, but not to hit the elephant in the room, but it is a question that does have to be discussed as well, is what does Marvel do now? Because it's the highest grossing non-Avengers movie. It's the 9th highest grossing film of all time. It's how do you follow up? Because there was plans for a sequel to come out in 2022. So like, what are we going to do? As much as it, like, that's not important right now, down the line, we're gonna have to address this. It's like I just don't know what they can do, honestly.
I think the really only viable option they have is recast. I mean, you cannot simply explain away someone as enormous as King T'Challa, and you cannot CGI him like Princess Leia at the end of Rogue One. You can't do that. Best they can do is just recast, and then hope the audiences will be understanding about it, and unfortunately, probably phase him out a little bit sooner than we would want.
So what I think they could... Go ahead, Johnny.
I actually think that rather than recasting him, I think there should be some kind of like in movie, maybe like in the next Avengers movie, some kind of tribute, but I think maybe they should just consider not having any more Black Panther movies. I honestly think that, if he's got a kingdom to run, and there's a lot of bad things that could happen to his kingdom, like in story, in universe, but they don't have to write them in. And I think that if he just kind of, or if the writers just kind of make it that he's happy doing, running things where he's at, and there's not really any other tragedies. He can just be kind of talked about, between characters. But I honestly think that the most sensitive reaction would be to scrap all of the Black Panther movies. I don't necessarily think that they will do that. I think that recasting is likely what they're going to do. But I think if they really wanted to, now I'm not saying that getting rid of any future plans of Black Panther altogether is necessarily like the best idea, even for what Chadwick Boseman would have or would have not wanted. But I think that would be kind of a simple way to appease everybody. Because if you're going to get mad that they're not going to have any more Black Panther movies because of the decision of his death, then go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Like
I see what you're saying. That here's a very sensitive way of handling it. I get it.
Here's one they could do too. So it happens in the comics. Shuri becomes Black Panther. Have that happen, and so on. So then you have another female superhero that can help for females look too, and it's a Black female too. So like that could be something as well, because in the comics she does. There's tons of different versions of it, but I know there is a comic where T'Challa gets either dies or gets injured. Something happens to T'Challa that she takes over as the Black Panther, and initially the spirits are kind of like, oh, I don't know, but then she is deemed worthy enough to be the Black Panther. So that could be one as well, where she then would take over, and so I'm sure they can figure
I read
some sort of way.
that was going to be the plan to begin with for the MCU. I think they have to find some way to explain it now. Which is, that was where I was going with it initially. Recast someone who looks pretty much like him and has the acting chops, and then just, phase it into Shuri's role a little bit sooner.
Well, what they could do is with the blessing of his estate, cast someone that we're not going to see, like they're going to have it so it's always he has the mask on, or it's always the back of his head, something where they do a lot of tricks where you don't actually see his face. And then they find some sort of way to essentially they have to kill him off. And I just don't know the best way they can do that where it'll appease the most fans. But basically, if they can find a good way to kill him off, then and have someone cast as like a double that we don't actually see, and then they find some way to kill it off. So then Shuri takes over as the Black Panther. That could be something, and that's. It's a little unfortunate that they had to, because they weren't expecting him to die. It almost makes you wonder if they knew this was going to happen, which no one did. What would they maybe change with the first one? Like, would they have left Killmonger alive, or what would they have done? But yeah, I think with Shuri as the replacement for Black Panther I think that's the easiest way to do it, where it's going to, you can still keep Black Panther in, you can follow what the comics do, you can write out Boseman, and you don't have to stop making Black Panther movies, even if they make less. Like, even if they were going to make like 3 or 4 Black Panther movies plus him meeting up in the meetup movies, maybe they only do 1 or 2 more, and then only one of the meetup movies.
That is a possibility. I do hope that that they do. I hope they decide to end it truthfully. But if they do find a way to tastefully make more, it's going to be a lot of landmines to walk around. But I think if they manage to do it somehow, then great. But we'll see.
Yeah, no matter what, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Yeah, there's no matter what, like they don't have an easy solution to this, and like that is just unfortunate. Like, no matter what happens, if they end it, there's gonna be people that are bummed and upset. If they find a way to write him out and make someone else the Black Panther, people are gonna be bummed and people are gonna be upset. So like, there's Marvel and Kevin Feige, they all just have a difficult situation. So what they should do first is just delay Black Panther 2 indefinitely, and then figure out what they're going to do. And then if they need to cancel it, cancel it. If they need to then, completely rewrite the whole thing, then do that. So,
yeah. Yeah. So very upsetting news. Thoughts and prayers go out to his family and his friends. There's no delicate way for MCU to handle this. So that's, again.
Before we move on, I actually did think of one way that they can kind of appease both if they do decide to cancel it.
Yeah, what's up?
So they have that What If show that's coming on Disney Plus. That's gonna go through what happens if they occur differently. So that could be something that they do is a what if T'Challa loses and then Shuri takes over. That could be something where they don't make the movies, but they can still kind of expand on it, and they can have different what ifs show, like what would happen if T'Challa lost to Killmonger or to I'm forgetting the name right now of the tribe that's up in the mountains. What if T'Challa lost that way? That could be something they could do as well, where they still can, continue it, but not really. And
I completely forgot about that show. That's a great idea.
This might be their best way to kind of dip both toes in the water.
Yeah, that is a really good idea. I completely forgot about that show. That would help explain a lot and without too much thought behind it. So yeah, another gold star for Luke.
That's like 2 gold stars for me now.
So do we have any other last thoughts before we move on?
I am sad.
Yeah, it's a terrible time, and whatever happens, I'm just glad we will always have Chadwick Boseman and the movies that he starred in. So no matter what happens, we'll at least have all of those.
Exactly. Oh, I did want to ask, what was the first Chadwick Boseman movie you guys saw?
The Express.
Mine is Black Panther. Of course. Oh, well, I guess the Civil War was my first one, but
same for me. First movie that I knew who he was Civil War, because I've seen parts of Draft Day and I've seen The Express, but first time where I knew who he was and he was a major character was Civil War.
Yeah. Mine was 42, which was considered one of his first really breakout roles. But yeah, I think Civil War was the movie where I recognized the name. Mm-hmm. So, all right. Yeah. Very sad time. Please let us know what, Chadwick meant to you guys in the comments, and let us know how his death, what your thoughts are on his death impacting the MCU as well. Yeah. From that, I guess we can end all of our news segments and our topic of the day and move on into recommendations. So last week was me and Court, old man Court, stopped by. We can start with Court's recommendation. He recommended the greatest hits compilation for The Cure. So let's go through our thoughts of the record and then I guess our favorite tracks from the compilation as well.
Yeah, okay. I'll start. So since a lot of my music that I listen to has been heavily influenced by The Cure, they're definitely one of the most influential in the alternative music scene, in gothic rock and post punk and new wave and all that. And there's a lot. Court mentioned it too. How Robert Smith even appeared on a Blink-182 album. One of the The Cure is how Tom DeLonge and Mark Hoppus really connected. Which makes it even more sad in their song San Diego after Tom left, that it's about listening to The Cure while they're hanging out at the skate park. But The Cure is such an important band for a lot of the music that I listen to, and so it was nice to go and and go back through some of these greatest hits again, because I had listened to some of these songs in a while, but yeah, it definitely was good, because I hadn't heard Friday I'm in Love or Pictures of You or Love Song in a few years. So
for me, I mean, this is all new to me, and I mean, every one of these songs I'm just oh wow, this is not something I'd pretty much ever heard before. Friday I'm in Love is one of the only song that I'd heard before. And actually, before it got to that point in the track, I just played it in order, and it was like track 2 or 3 or 4 or something like that, something early on that I remember, like the sound of The Cure. One of the songs reminded me of Friday I'm in Love, and I was like, oh, this kind of sounds like a little bit like that song. And then I looked through it and it got to that song, and I'm like, that makes sense. That's why, because it's the same band that played it. But yeah, I thought it was good. I'll be honest, they kind of blended together a little bit for me, and none of them really stood out that much. But that's not to say that they were bad. It was a good time. I was just listening to it and just like scrolling through Facebook as I was playing it. So I enjoyed it. It was something that I wasn't expecting to. I didn't go in with high hopes, but Court did a good job.
Yeah, Court is he's the biggest music nerd I know.
For sure.
Yeah, he's got like I could name any band that has 12 listeners on Spotify, and he's be like, "Oh yeah, I've checked them out before." Like, of course,
I think of Court, and that immediately makes me think of Good Taste in Music and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Of course, yep. Yeah, you just described Court Jensen. Yeah, The Cure is one of those bands I've never given their fair shake. I do love punk music, and so I understand that they are huge in that. But I had never given them their fair shake, not because I didn't want to. I just never got around to it. But this was the perfect opportunity to do that. And songs like The Walk, songs like Friday I'm in Love, Love Song, Just Say Yes. They really hit home, and actually now I've downloaded all of those songs now. This was a fantastic album or compilation album. This was a great chance to get into a band that I've been meaning to, and I really like their style. I think the singing style is a little bit different. It's got kind of a whine to it, it's the man kind of sound to his singing style, and I loved that. So let's go into our ratings, and for me, this one is going to get a 9 out of 10. Being in love on Fridays.
Just Friday, though.
Specifically Friday.
Only Friday. So it's Monday, so we can't be in love.
Not yet.
Yep, sorry.
Yeah. What about you guys?
For me, I would give this 7 out of 10 boys who do cry.
Ooh.
Well, boys can cry. It's totally cool. Yeah.
And then I would also give it a 9 out of 10. Making me sad because I think about San Diego by Blink-182.
All right, well, so it sounds like this one was a really big hitter for
good job,
for
Court.
all of us. Thank you, Court.
Good job, Court. Love you, Court.
Please check out our previous episode with Old Man Court. It's a really good one. And then we go on to the one I recommended, which was Exile on Main Street by the Rolling Stones. I will let you guys take this one away.
Yeah, so, Connor, you're old as well at heart. So yeah, it was. How many? This is what, the 9th, 10th studio album for the Stones.
I think the 12th.
Well, the issue is when you go into bands like the Stones and the Beatles, is they released albums differently in Europe and in America. So like this might be their 9th in America and their 12th in the UK or whatever. But yeah, so it's the Stones are the Rolling Stones. Like they're one of the most influential rock bands ever. Like it's just that is. They're like you with the Cure. They're one of those that I never have given a fair shake outside of they're really big popular songs. Like everyone else, I've heard stuff like Paint It Black and all that. So it was nice to go and listen to something that was just like hearing, Sympathy for the Devil and Give Me Shelter and Paint It Black on the different things I've heard them on. Mm-hmm. And it's, you can see why they're such an influential band that they are. Even if like what Johnny mentioned with the Cure, how there's some of these songs that maybe kind of meshed together for me, it still was nice to be able to see the influence that this band has had just on music in general. How this is considered like one of their best albums and one of the best albums of all time. So it was one. This one was more of an appreciation one, not as much of a like where the Cure I was enjoying because I had enjoyed a few of their songs beforehand, and then it was discovering some more that I was like, oh okay, so like I like this one too. Where this one was more of a I enjoy it, but I am more of an appreciation type of thing.
I know exactly what you mean. Like musically, like if you listen to music, you are appreciating their influence and their impact, and you are enjoying it for the fact that you're listening to legends. But maybe it's not necessarily your style. I know exactly what you're trying to get at.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of have to agree with Luke that this didn't exactly do it for me. I did enjoy it in the fact that it is something that I would not have gone to look for myself, and so it's good to know. Like it's good to know you in court, Connor, because otherwise I wouldn't. I mean, there's been some things that you guys have recommended to me that I've really enjoyed and never expected to, and then sometimes it just doesn't always hit the mark, and this is one of those times, unfortunately. But I don't think it was bad by any means.
Sure, yeah,
I thought it was enjoyable. It's just not something I think I'm going to be coming back to anytime soon.
Oh, that's fine. I wanted to share with you guys some of the biggest music ever put out from the previous century. And I was just really hoping that you guys could hear, the Rolling Stones, people think of them more as pop, but their influences are classic blues. They love Muddy Waters.
You could really tell that too,
yes,
with the way,
yeah.
Like, cause that was one that I was noticing is because like a lot, Paint It Black and Gimme Shelter, and songs like that where like you can hear in those two, but they're a little like faster and heavier, and there's some more times it was like some more slower, methodical, very, very much like very strong blues influence you could hear in it.
Yes, yeah, and they even the album that Gimme Shelter came out is called Let It Bleed, and that has some more country sounds to it. They just love American roots music. Chuck Berry, Bo Diddley, Muddy Waters. They love those artists, and they wanted to find a way to pay them tribute within their music. The Stones, they're my favorite band. This is considered, Exile on Main Street is considered their top album of all time, which excludes live albums and compilation albums. This is probably my favorite of their albums, next being Sticky Fingers or probably Beggar's Banquet. But yeah, I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a taste of it. I think everyone needs to hear the Stones at least once in their life.
Nice, yeah.
Absolutely.
So, Johnny, what would your rating be then?
Let me see. I would probably give it a... Let's see. I would give it 5.5 out of 10 Sweet Black Angels.
Oh, wow.
I would give it a solid 7.5. I just want to see his face out of 10.
Are those your guys' favorite songs from the album? I meant to ask you that. What
Not necessarily.
Any songs stick out to you guys?
Not necessarily for me. It was... I don't know. It was hard. It's hard for me to pick because I'm not familiar with any of them, and I only listened to each of them once. So,
sure.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say that I have necessarily a favorite.
That's fair.
Yeah,
Luke, any of them stick out?
I can't remember which one was my favorite on it right now either, but it was a solid one. It was more one where I more appreciated it for what it was. Not as much of enjoying it like I did more with The Cure, but it was still a good recommendation.
All right, yeah. Cool. If you guys liked either of these recommendations, let us know. Did you guys grow up with the Stones or The Cure? Did you guys listen to these having no expectations and then blowing them out of the waters? Let us know. And again, if you guys have stuff you want us to check out, comment that down below. We're going to be moving on. Johnny, it is your turn. What have you got for us?
So I think that, after all the time that we've spent giving each other things that we really appreciated, like, music and video game demos and movies, I thought that it would be time for me to give you something more as like torture than anything. So I'm going to recommend 2 episodes of what is notoriously one of the worst TV series in the history of television.
Friends?
I swear to... Oh my god. Ooh,
Nope. Worse
platform,
than that.
On Entertainment News, we are going to get stabbed.
Nope. It is far worse than that. I'm going to recommend 2 episodes from the legendary, iconic, perfect dumpster fire of an animated television series, Donkey Kong Country.
Oh no.
Ooh.
I've actually seen a couple episodes of it too.
Is it okay? So I just have to. So I have not watched the show. How does it compare to the What is the CDI thing that the Nintendo? How is it compared to the horrid Zelda cartoon that came out in the early 90s?
That's a little bit excusable because when it's in 2 dimensions, it's less frightening. But I don't know if you've seen any of the animations, Luke, from the show, but this is in 3D, and it is the worst and almost it's the ugliest thing that's ever come out of Nintendo. And I think they're doing their best to make people forget that it ever existed. But luckily for you guys, all the episodes are free on YouTube. So I could not for the life of me settle on 2 of the I couldn't find what would necessarily be considered the worst episodes, so I just picked essentially 2 at random, and I'll send you both links later on tonight. But it is for 2 episodes that are not consecutive, called Kong for a Day and Clumps Lumps. So I'm going to send you the links to those 2 episodes, and I want next week, I don't want you to review it based on on how good you think it is. I want you to rate it based on how much you cringed. So is
Dear
it
Lord.
a good...
I actually really like this concept. I really love recommending complete shit for
Yeah,
because this is, I mean, if you grew up with it or you consumed it as nerd media, it is available for recommendation. It doesn't even have to be good. As far as we're concerned, there is no rule book for this. I love this idea, Johnny.
So
Lord,
yeah,
I just
let me
went
know.
to that episode and I'm just skimming through to look at basically screen grabs of it, and yeah, you're right. This animation style, this looks like someone just got some sort of 3D software and threw Donkey Kong models in. This looks like a 6-year-old did this. Oh, this is bad. This is gonna be fun.
So next week you guys will rate it based on your appreciation of it being a shitty show rather than the quality of it being a good one. So
there is such a thing as being so bad it's good.
And I really hope
that's not what this is.
No, I don't think that's what this is either. But you know what? I know that I'm pretty sure you guys are going to enjoy it either way. So, or throw up. I don't know. I don't. Either one could happen.
You have no basis to say you're going to enjoy this either way. There's nothing telling other than this is going to remind me of you showing me this around the time when you first moved up to the Twin Cities. So.
So good luck with that, and I'll send you those links later on tonight.
And I actually really do want to know, if you guys have seen this show before, what did you guys think? I really need to know.
And if you haven't, you are all welcome to go type it into YouTube and watch absolutely any and all episodes of the series, because they're all available for free on YouTube. So
and they are good.
I urge you.
Isn't it so funny, how
do that.
horrid Nintendo has their stuff has been outside of Pokemon, every Nintendo game that has gone to different media has been so bad.
Yeah, it's almost an art.
The how the Mario movie, and just how iconic it is for being nothing like the video games, and the Zelda cartoon. Oh man, wild. I am excited to see this.
Good.
All right. Well, this is gonna suck. Thanks, Johnny. Appreciate it, Dick.
Sure thing.
Yeah. So we'll watch that, and we will. This could be a lament, but we'll definitely give your thoughts on that and our very honest thoughts. So, yeah, that concludes it for Rocket Talk episode 28. Thank you guys for sticking with us for 28 episodes. Comment your thoughts down below. Show us some love by clicking that like button. Please subscribe to us on YouTube. And Luke, where can they find us?
They can find us on Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, and basically any place you listen to podcasts on. So
yeah,
we
please
are
listen to us on Anchor a lot.
Yeah. Listen to the best way if you want to support us is to listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Overcast, Pocket Cast, and Radio Public. Because we get more money on those because we are sponsored. We are sponsored by Anchor, so can't forget that. And Connor, tell our listeners our other sponsor as well.
So our other sponsor is BuyLightFixtures.com. Founder's name is John. He created BuyLightFixtures.com to provide a trusted source of quality lighting products with the in-depth knowledge to help you get the optimal lighting solution for your business or home. Our experience comes from working with thousands of commercial users, electrical contractors, architects, engineers, and homeowners to find the right lighting solution. John has over 35 years experience in the lighting industry. You can browse our products from the left side column categories or use our powerful search tool on BuyLightFixtures.com. So thank you, John, for sponsoring us. Thank you for helping this all work out.
And thank you, Anchor, as well. So be sure to check out both of our sponsors. They are both wonderful. If you want to start your own podcast like we did, use Anchor. If you want to go buy some lights, then go visit John and the gang at BuyLightFixtures.com.
Bye.